Hi, today we're gonna be doing a little different video. Today I'm gonna rank these 20 footprints on this tier list from S to F, S being the best and F being the absolute worst. So let's begin. First, we have this footprint right here, which I would call the Ninja Star. If you have been following me for a very long time, you know that I used to use this footprint quite a lot. I really thought it was great. Nowadays I'm not that big on it anymore. I think, it has its weaknesses. If you look at it, it isn't really that great. But I also wouldn't say that it's like bad. I'm not sure. I would give it a C or a D. I think I'm gonna stick it in C for now and then C later again. Next we have this thing right here. So looks a bit like an X, so that's what I'm gonna call it. I think this is a quite solid footprint. I would say it's like not up here, but definitely above the Ninja Star. I'm not sure if I want to have it in B. I guess I want it in C and then move the Ninja Star down. Yeah, now this one right here, which I don't think there's a real name for it, so I'm just gonna call it what it's I think most commonly known as, and that would be the Thrifty Scott footprint. I think this footprint is pretty good. It is a very small space and you have 2 square loot rooms, which there are many different ways to use this and most of them are pretty good in my opinion. I think I'm gonna stick it in an A for now. Yeah, A seems pretty solid. It's very limited in size to smaller bases, but if you need a footprint for a smaller base like solo duo, I would say you can't go wrong with this one. Before we go on with the video, I want to thank today's sponsor, Bandit.camp. It is a Rust gambling website that is based on, you guessed it, the Bandit camp inside of Rust. They have the same Wheel of Fortune, as well as coin flips and more. Once you have won enough and want to cash out, you can choose from a variety of skins. You can go there and use my code DavDav for a little extra when depositing your skins. Thanks again to Bandit.camp, and now back to the video. Now we have this thing right here, the Hexagon. I again think this footprint is pretty good. You can do some nice stuff with it. I don't think it's like as good as this one, but yeah, it has some problems in you can't really have that much storage inside of it, and it's not that nice to use because usually you will have a TC in a triangle where you will have to like look from 2 triangles over here to find it, or if you only have 1 floor here, it won't be as efficient, but it's still a very solid footprint. A B for me. A 2x3. 2x3s are not that commonly used, but I think they are pretty good. Although, I don't think I ever made a base with it. Well, I never uploaded a base with it. Do I think they are as good as this? Yeah, they might be. 2x3s are pretty nice. And they are like very variable in group size. I can see a trio, maybe even a duo using it, but also like a 6 or 8 man. So yeah, I guess A, low A, high B, I would say. Now we come to a probably quite controversial one, the 5x5. So far probably the most popular one of these, and I'm very low on it if you know me. I think 5x5s are terrible. They are super easy to raid, and the peaks that they are 5x5s are just focused on having peaks, usually aren't even that good. Not a fan. Don't like 5x5s. Do you think they are F? No. I think they're an E tier. You really don't have a lot of options in what to do with a 5x5. And I think most of them are just, you have a 3x3 core, then a ring of peaks around that, and then maybe a ring of honeycomb, but more than that, and it's pretty useless. I don't like 5x5s. Now we come to something very similar. 4x4. I think a 4x4 is... it's the baby of a 5x5 and a 2x2, and I think it took both of the bad parts of its parents, and it's terrible. It has the weakness in design from a rocket rate perspective of a 5x5. With the peaks, I think I would say they're even worse. Probably the same. But also, with your core being a 2x2 that you can't even add an airlock to, it is a super shitty starter unit. And just 2 walls will be enough to get basically all your stuff. So, in my opinion, never build a 4x4. Unless it's some very specific design, maybe it can work, but not a fan. 2x2, if you know me, you know I like 2x2s, so somewhere around this area probably. I don't think, you might think that I would put them in S just because I'm me, but I don't think I want to do that. I don't think 2x2s are that great. They do have their problems with just you at max having 2 loot rooms and those loot rooms having to be right next to each other. So yeah, that's not really great. Probably A tier. I'd say it's very similar to a 2x3. So about here. Now 3x3. 3x3 is... I might think that I don't like 3x3s because I put 5x5s so low here, but I don't like... I think the best part of the 5x5 is its 3x3 core. I think 3x3 cores aren't anything spectacular, but they do their stuff. They do it pretty well. You can do some quite interesting designs with it. You can expand it reasonably well. If you split your stuff, it won't be that easy to raid. So I'd say probably high B tier. I'd set it a bit under the 2x2. So because I think the 2x2 is low A, I'd give this like a high B. I feel like, yeah, B tier seems good for it. 1x3s. I don't like 1x3s. I think they're very awkward to expand. I don't think there are a lot of reasons to build a 1x3 instead of just this right here. You still have 2 loot rooms. And this is just a lot easier to expand. So 1x3s, they aren't terrible. But it's also like pretty awkward in general to use it, to expand with it, because it's so stretched out, which doesn't make for nice peaks, or if you add a shell around it, it won't be that nice. So yeah, not a fan, but also aren't terrible, I'd say. I'd say they're similar to the X. With, yeah, quite decent for a bunch of storage, but not really anything great if you want to add anything more than just 1 layer of honeycomb around. Now to this right here, which I would call a weird 1x2, because it's basically a 1x2 with just another triangle added. So I think it's pretty good. I like it. It is very efficient. It is very similar to this one, but these 2 triangles right here are missing. But it does force you to have your entrance in this triangle right here, as otherwise it doesn't really make sense. So I'd say it's lower than these. I'd say it's like, probably it's a very high B. I might have to rearrange these at some point. Okay. 1x1. It's mainly a mean footprint. It's like Yeah. I did make a 1x1 base before, which I don't think was terrible. Maybe I could revisit it at some point, but it also is nothing special. So 1x1 is like a D for maybe in some cases. Yeah, I think that's what D is. Can be good in some cases. Some edge cases. C would be like in some cases, B is generally good, A is can be happy if you use it, and S tier would be that you would only want to use that. So 1x2, I would say 1x2s are, I like 1x2s. You have like, if you only need basically one loot room for main loot and maybe some auxiliary stuff, you can use it. You can expand it a bit. You can maybe even add some peaks, internal ones, although they probably won't be great. I'm struggling. Low B, high C. Let's put it here. Now I had to look that up, what it's called first. Dodecagon, 12 sides. It's basically a circle base, but you added one more layer of squares and then filled it in with triangles around. This is, I'm not really too deep in it, but I think it's pretty common in clan bases right now, with you having this as your starter in the corner. No. You're having this as your starter in the bottom, with loot rooms all around, and then you stack up until you reach your open core. I think for that it's a pretty solid footprint. If you use it in that sense, I'd give it an A tier. But because it also is sometimes used with just that being your actual base of just towering up, I think that drops it down to a B. Now we have this one, which most of the people that I read who wanted to name it would be the shield. I think this base is solid. B. Can have your TC in the middle. That one will be pretty protected. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to rearrange these a bit. 4x4s and 5x5s have to be separated. I think I could move these two into S tier and then these into low A. This is A. Yeah, I like this more. So now this one, which is the Hjune 2x2, probably quite a few know it. Pretty common base. Pretty basic. It's like, it does some stuff right, but it does good stuff, but of the stuff it does nothing great. I would say that's like low B, low B. I'd give it a B. Yeah. Now to this footprint right here. It's also a shell 2x2, but in this case it would have 2 rings of peaks, which is an upgrade. 2 rings of peaks, pretty good. But if you know me, I'm not that high on internal peaks, and the core is suffering quite a lot for it. And you can't really have bedrooms in any of the rings, making defending less ideal. Well, there are some ways to have bedrooms, but let's I'd say it's a bit worse than this, so C tier it is. Now we get to this, which isn't a joke. I saw this before, and there is stuff about people making bases with 7x7 or like one person, and not a fan. I think a 7x7 is like, it's just a 5x5 with another layer. It's just like, what a 5x5 does wrong, it does again, but that way it's even worse, because it's like not even reasonably cheap anymore. So it's even lower than the 4x4. It's so terrible. Low F. Now, to this right here, which isn't supposed to be a specific footprint, but rather just shelled 3x3s in general. So I'd say shelled 3x3s are good. They're just like solid bases for groups, bigger and medium, like not giant groups, but I don't know, maybe up to a 12-man. Maybe. Not entirely sure. They do their stuff pretty decently. Yeah, I'd say A tier. You can have some nice peaks in them. You can have some nice online defenses, some nice. If you spread it out well enough, your loot through multiple floors and into different corners, it won't be that easy to raid, but yeah, nothing great. Now we get to the big triangle. Triangle made out of 4 smaller triangles. This is, in this current form, I think it's pretty solid because it's quite versatile. You can use it just like this as a solo base, with maybe an airlock here and then TC some stuff here. I think Wildrum used it in his base once. Although the base isn't great, I think the footprint, like this triangle here, can be quite solid. And something else you can do is, if you have, like, think 2 squares on each of these sides, you can add roof bunkers to all of them, creating for some pretty strong designs, which I don't think it's great. I don't think it's bad. I did make a base like this before, the Hephaestus, if you want to look on my channel. Gonna link it. I'm gonna link to a bunch of bases using these footprints, so you can get some ideas. Check the description for that below. I'd give this an A tier, but I feel like it is, yeah. This looks a bit too top-sided, so I'm gonna move around a bit of stuff. I think 1x1 can really go down. Can it? I kinda like the base that I did with the 1x1, but I know, haven't seen it in a while. Maybe I feel like it's D tier isn't high. D tier really isn't that good. It's below average. So it's fine. Yeah, I think these can. I think the Ninja Star could go high E tier. Then the 1x3 could go high D tier. These seem fine. I'd move the shield down to C tier. And then what can I do? Any of these not deserve their rank? Yeah, I feel like this feels better. I don't know. It just feels correct. But yeah, I think this is my tier list. If you... Yeah. Because I know that a bunch of people are gonna be not happy with where I put these footprints. You can get this template and do it yourself and send it to me in the comments to tell me how incredibly wrong I am. So Link to this in the top of the description. Come and join my Discord if you have any building related questions or just want to hang out with me. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, later!